Today we're going to talk about our thoughts on the recent Vince Vaughn comedy, Unfinished Business. Could you give us a quick plot synopsis?
In Unfinished Business, Vince Vaughn plays himself, Dave Franco plays a slightly autistic business partner named Mike Pancake, and there's an old guy who probably hasn't been in another movie who plays an older
I've seen
business
him before, but
who plays an older business partner. Their job is to sell scraps of metal to companies, and they essentially have one last chance to make money on this deal before their business gets closed down. So they fly out to Germany, and at the same time as they're trying to renegotiate the deal and save the company, Vince Vaughn is dealing with family problems. Dave Franco is having casual sex with women, and the old man is trying to raise money for his divorce with his wife. Connor, what did you think of Unfinished Business?
I thought for a drama comedy, it was actually a pretty decent movie. You can't really expect much more or less from dramatic comedy, because obviously most of the comedy in the movie is going to be situational. I thought what it did pretty well. It followed around the character Vince Vaughn pretty well. And basically the idea was his plot, and it was predictable, but, you know, that's to be expected in a drama comedy, because you're basically trying to follow your character to point A to point, or from point A to point B, through the situations that he enters. So, for what type of movie it is, which I'm usually not that into, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was much better than Delivery Man, Vince Vaughn, and this director's previous movie, which, I don't know, kind of fell short for me. What were your thoughts of the Unfinished Business?
I didn't think it was all too great. The plot was boring and predictable. There was a few funny moments, but I guess I just didn't care enough about Vince Vaughn or any of the characters. I liked Mike Pancake, played by Dave Franco, but I didn't really care for Vince Vaughn. I didn't laugh a whole ton. And I guess that's mostly how I felt most of the movie. I just didn't care much.
Alright, well, I think we should go right away, basically, into the blatant plot, or product placement in this movie. For example, Dunkin' Donuts and Pepsi both showed up quite frequently in the movie. Their business meetings were in Dunkin' Donuts. They were in the airport, and they'd walk by 15 Dunkin' Donuts in a row. Every pop machine in it was Pepsi. They blatantly called out Pepsi and Dunkin' Donuts repeatedly.
Yeah, the old guy's like, my wife looks like a vending machine, and Dave Franco looks over, he's like, your wife is like a Pepsi vending machine? I need to go get a Pepsi.
Yeah, they actually, I think they repeatedly, and not as like a joke, but all the time they were like saying like, I need to go over to the vending machine to get a pop. Then they would stand at the vending machine, grab a pop, and it would be Pepsi. But like, they wouldn't say anything, like there's no reason for them to really be there or show that in the movie. They would just kind of be grabbing a Pepsi. But I thought it was a little overkill in that aspect, but I mean, it didn't really take too much away from the story. I mean, the Dunkin' Donuts part, they said they were basically running their business. They had no office because they were a small business and they were doing shitty, so they wanted to run it out of a store, and whether it was a generic coffee shop or a Dunkin' Donuts, it really didn't take away. I thought the point where it was distracting was like at the airport, where it's like they're passing Dunkin' Donuts, they're in Berlin, they're passing Dunkin' Donuts. There's just a point where it got overboard. So I think there was a point in the story where I was fine with it, and then there were points where it was like slight overkill, but it wasn't too in your face, so honestly, it didn't bother me too much. But yeah, so, what was your favorite part of the movie?
Well, I think we can both agree that the best character and the best parts of the movie were powered by Mike Pancake, Dave Franco's character. At first, he was used kind of obviously. He has the Pancake for a last name, so like, don't say your last name. It's gonna get distracting.
Yeah, some of the recurring jokes were kind of stupid.
But The older man mentions that he wants to do wheelbarrow position with a woman, and Mike gets on his hands and tries to have sex with a woman while he's the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, that was a trailer one, but yeah, a lot of the jokes I gotta point out, and this is a problem with a lot of comedies. A lot of the jokes were in the trailer, and in the trailer, it felt like they were trying to do more of like a weird party movie, and then it ended up being like the dramedy, I guess. Which got a little jarring when you were actually watching the movie. Like, because I walked in there kind of expecting, like, a Hangover with Vince Vaughn. Like, I wasn't disappointed because, like, it's a comedy, who cares? And I half expected it to go this way just because it was Vince Vaughn, but at the same time, I can see a general audience person watching this and being like, sweet, it's gonna be the Hangover again.
Smoke weed every day.
You know, that's the shit they want to see. They showed a lot of, like, partying and getting drunk, which they did do, but, yeah, the movie was a little more, I guess, going for the touchiness than that. But, I don't know. I thought I kind of liked the Vince Vaughn character enough for a comedy. The problem was, yeah, because, like, you know, he had stakes and stuff, and you saw his family and all that garbage. But, I mean, there wasn't too much to be invested in as a comedy, so that was a fairly major problem with investing in it, but I mean, for what it wasn't all too bad, in my opinion. But yeah, so my favorite part in the movie also had to be a lot of that, those Dave Franco scenes. At first, I kind of read him to be like almost like the smarter character, but he was just had a weird name, because that's what it felt like. He felt like that, like, awkward, optimistic guy. In the first scene, like, when he brought his business plan, or he went to an interview at the company that Vince Vaughn worked at the start, and he had his box of business equipment. You kind of guessed he was, like, optimistic, but it turns out he was retarded, you later learn, but I don't know. I thought they played off him pretty well. Obviously, he was really him and the old guy were the real comedy in the movie. The old guy had some more serious-ish moments, but for the most part, he was more grounded comedy, and I thought the ridiculous exploits that really happened were with Dave Franco's character, and that's why he was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. There was also, I don't know, there's not a whole lot to say about the movie, I guess, and that's a problem with a lot of movies like that. I mean, without telling you the ending, it's hard to...
Well, the ending, we said it was obvious and stuff, and we're just going to make all of our videos spoiler. So from now on, if you are watching these, just don't watch them if you care about spoilers, whatever. But basically, at the end, he does get the business deal, which was kind of blatantly obvious. If you watch any of these movies, you shouldn't be surprised unless you're a huge-ass dumbass. But yeah, it was kind of cool at the end, I thought. Just kind of an underdog story, which a lot of these are. And you expect them to win, or basically win the day or whatever, as one of these movies, and get invested in their characters, which I thought, for what it was, did a good job. So, going on, what do you think your least favorite part of this movie was?
You know, there wasn't really anything that stuck out as offensively bad to me, where I was just cringing.
One thing I was impressed with, just to stop you for a second, was there were no fart jokes. I want to point that out. No fart jokes. None of those really cheap jokes. There were, like, the party scenes, but I mean, like the Adam Sandler trick book, they didn't follow at all, which I thought was cool.
But it was fairly consistent. There was the one really funny section where Vince Vaughn goes into the bathroom of a gay bar and gets assaulted by penises coming out of glory holes. But the rest of the movie was pretty consistent in not being terrible, but not being great.
Even the glory hole part, in my opinion, wasn't too bad, you know? Like,
no, I thought it was pretty well
did
done.
it, but it wasn't like that scene could have been twice as cringeworthy. Like, they kind of did it like Mike was kind of awkward in the situation, so he was like trying to shake hands with them, but like started shaking their dicks and stuff, and like it sounds worse than than it was. But like Vince Vaughn was there to kind of ground it. Like this is like a kind of what the fuck thing. And he was kind of Vince Vaughn's character is usually that normal guy that's like he's stuck in this situation with these odd people, and they did it fairly well, I would say. So
nobody hates Vince Vaughn, but nobody goes to movies to see Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, I don't think he's like Adam Sandler in the way that he'll pull a huge crowd, and in the way he'll
make
repel a huge crowd at the same time. Because Adam Sandler's always going to make his living off of those
Vince
stupid
Vaughn
people. That
honestly just feels like someone you'd know in real life, who's just kind of your average.
Well, that's the thing. Like he plays
guy.
those roles in all those movies where he just kind of is that guy who stands out as the normal guy, and he's kind of typecasted as that. Like Marky Mark is typecasted as the action hero that has no character at all, and that's not always a bad thing. We were talking about this a few days ago with Marky Mark, but I don't know.
I guess I don't know if I would go see the movie alone or if you're looking for something really funny. But if you have a few people, maybe some relatives are visiting. Actually, I wouldn't
not
bring
with relatives.
I was thinking, it's
I
kind
don't know.
of non-offensive.
I would
but then there's
maybe
a lot.
watch. I would kind of just suggest this to whoever likes this kind of like comedy. Like personally, I just watch a shitload of movies, so I don't care. Would I recommend this to everyone? No, but if this is the type of movie you like, I would say you would think it's pretty good. I wouldn't even suggest it to like the crowd that likes those Adam Sandler or Hangover, like those comedies that are like either really ridiculous or really ridiculous type comedies. But if you like the romantic comedies or comedies that are just like the drama comedies like Vince Vaughn is often in,
if you
I'd suggest it. But if you saw like the trailers, it's not much like a Hangover comedy. You might be disappointed if that's what you're looking for.
If you really liked Delivery Man, you'll probably like this because it's by the same people and there's some similarities. It's a little...
See, but the weird thing is I really dislike Delivery
No, I think
Man.
it's a lot better than Delivery Man, but there are... It's in the same style of Delivery Man where it's more of a serious movie.
I guess a
with
good
some
way to
laughs.
describe it is a romantic comedy without romance.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it.
But yeah, I thought the characters were charming. The movie was alright for what it is. I mean... I don't know. I would advise seeing it. For what it was, it's hard to find a much better movie. So, for the genre it's in, I thought it was pretty good.
You're a whole new generation. You're dancing through the day. You're grabbing for the magic on the run. You're a whole new generation. You're loving what you do. I put a Pepsi in the motion, but that choice is up to you. Hey, you're the Pepsi generation. 'Cause the